So, Officer Foster and the fatal crash team had to rely on a formula. I analyzed that formula as an outdated formula to understand the speed in which the defendant was driving. We keep our expert firm
Objection, Your Honor. Narrative.
Ask a question. Thank you.
Yes. Now, actually, that was sufficient. I want to move on to the other thing that you had said about the underestimation of the dangers of Canyon Road. Could you explain that?
I actually brought an aid to demonstrate.
Your Honor, permission for the witness to step down and make use of the demonstrative?
Okay.
Your Honor, before the witness does that, may I first see the document?
Oh, sure.
Not familiar.
Okay.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to object on the grounds of, first off, I'm sorry, this document, there are very many words in this document. Those are hearsay statements that are being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. The opposing counsel wanted to use a diagram that did not have any words on it for the witness to interpret. That would be okay, but in this case, there are words on there, specifically the word that says vehicle swerves to avoid a deer and exit the right side of the doorway, or I'm sorry, of the roadway. That's hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may. First, to objecting to the use of this demonstrative, this has been shown to opposing counsel. There was no objections then, and if there are objections now to the hearsay within the document, these are the witness's own words. He can qualify these conclusions and words when he comes up to speak about the demonstrative.
This is a demonstrative was shown to opposing counsel in this current form,
Yes.
and no objections were made. The motion was made prior to this.
No.
Okay, the objections are
Your Honor, just to clarify, if I'm going to be heard, the demonstrative was shown during captain's meeting. I wasn't at the captain's meeting, only 2 people go to captain's meeting. This is the first that I'm seeing of this document, and this document is still hearsay. This document isn't included in the case packet. And in fact, if we allow this to enter into evidence, it's going to mislead the jury into thinking that there really was a deer there. When in fact, prosecution has a good faith belief that this witness cannot testify that.
Your Honor.
Okay, it's overruled at this time. It's overruled at this time. You're free to renew the objection if something comes after the course of the testimony related to that specific statement.
Your Honor, may the witness step down?
Yes.
Could you please explain what you meant earlier about the dangers of Canyon Road?
Yes. Canyon Road is a very narrow road. One of the first things you notice is there's no lights on Canyon Road. Secondly, there's no sign letting the driver know there's a curb ahead. So there's poor signage on Canyon Road. Just a mile north of where the accident occurred, there's no sign indicating what the speed limit is on this road, which is another concern that I have with Canyon Road. And near both edges of pavement, there are lines of trees that are cut very well. So this means once the driver, whether they were a prudent citizen or not, catches the curve by surprise because there's no signage letting them know there's a curve, they run the risk of going off that embankment into a steep drop-off, and they cannot avoid striking a tree. So due to those things, this road causes a serious concern to me as a student of traffic engineering. And finally, on top of all of those things, this road is highly populated with deer. So you have pedestrians driving down this road, unaware of the speed limit, unaware there's a curve they're approaching, negotiate this curve by surprise. There's a steep drop-off, there's no guardrails to protect that driver, and they cannot avoid striking a tree. These are all reasons that this road is an accident waiting to happen. And I submitted a report several years before stating such.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. As to the previous report.
Sustained.
Motion to strike?
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may just reach some clarification.
Okay.
If I heard the witness correctly, he said that he submitted a report, not that there was not any statements that were in the report. So what part of that is hearsay?
Have you heard, Your Honor?
Sure.
The witness did say that he submitted a report, but he said he also tied in the testimony that he just gave to that report. That's still hearsay.
Sustained.
Motion to strike, Your Honor.
Okay.
So, Mr. Roman, could you detail your concerns with the road currently that wasn't in your report previously?
It's actually brought a visual aid to help.
Mr. Roman, what are we looking at here?
Well, typically, one of our processes when we do a site visit is we conduct a road risk analysis. First, a checklist of my observations. I collect this data, and it's used to determine what we'll do next in any event where we're analyzing what happened in an accident. And along my notes that I made about the road, there's a color continuum from the least concern to critical concern. So the color pretty much demonstrates how my level of concern was raised as I analyzed Canyon Road. First, we saw that there were no lights. Then I saw there was poor signage. Then I saw that once the driver negotiates the curve, by surprise, there's no guardrail protecting. And the proximity of trees makes it unavoidable to strike a tree once going off the embankment. And then the dense deer population on a poor lit road makes this an accident waiting to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Let's take your seat. Now, Mr. Roman, you were also called to analyze the probability of there being a deer in the road that night. How probable is that?
It's highly probable, considering the density of the population, the high forestry area, also considering the evasive maneuver of the car. It was consistent with avoiding some type of large object. This had to be a moving object, otherwise, when the fatal crash team arrived, the object would have still been present in the road. So that's consistent with some type of moving object or forestry animal like a deer that we know to be in this area.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Just a brief moment, Your Honor, before I begin. A motion to reconstruct the demonstrative, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Roman, you didn't arrive at the accident until 18 days after it happened, isn't that right?
That is correct. As soon as I was notified, I put a team on staff and we headed over.
Right. And you didn't observe the vehicle at the police impound lot until 18 days after it happened, isn't that right?
As soon as I was notified, when we conducted our investigation, that's correct.
Now, Mr. Roman, you would agree that Officer Foster had a significant advantage in being present immediately after the accident, wouldn't you?
And being a part of the fatal crash team. Absolutely. However, there were some things that had to highlight. There were premier concerns that were not in the report. So it's not in any way to diminish the fatal crash team's effort.
Right, but regardless, you would agree that Officer